What's up, guys? Gunz here. So, felt like doing a little video today. Now, I've had a bunch of newer people come into the hobby, and they pop into the gun shows, which, by the way, I do every Saturday night, 4 p.m. Pacific. Live card auction. It's fun. Good times. But, some newer people will pop in, and, I get a lot of DMs from old friends and new buddies. And a lot of people ask me all the time, they're like, man, how do you get your cards? How do you have so much stuff? And I understand the game is to be sold, not told, but here's my thing, man. I like to watch people succeed. I like to help people succeed. One of the things that I do is, I don't pigeonhole myself to one group, one person, one breaker, one person who does auctions. I try to spread the love, try to bring some kind of unity, try to always uplift people and help people, Buck City Breaks, they do a lot for me. I'm real good with them. Rip and Gypsy, real good with them. Midwest, real good with them. Alpha Fam, real good with them. There's lots of different people that, I rock with, and I always try to help, and they always try to help me out. And, like Rip and Gypsy, they'll pop in my auctions. We'll go split screen, sell a couple spots in a break, and then break it right there in my auction with them split screen. And that's fun. That brings the communities together. Me and Deafness has always been connected. I remember when I first started doing auctions, there were a couple of other people who used to do, who still do auctions. I used to pay people, credit if they went into somebody else's auction, Sometimes you help uplift people, man. It seems like this hobby, it's gotten into a whole lot of competition and a whole lot of hater shit. And, man, it's tough to see. It's tough to see when it's a hobby that I care about so much. It's a community that I care about so much. To see people not work together, to see weird stuff happen, Man, I saw, someone sent me a screenshot of a chat the other day, and, somebody was saying, man, I always want to go live or whatever, but me and Gunz, our times clash. And then, somebody who should have been like, yeah, we try to, stay out of each other's way and try to work together, instead was like, nobody owns a day, which is weird because people do their best not to fuck up your day. It's true though. Nobody owns a day, but everybody does try to kind of work together. Especially if they're in the same groups, not to overstep, pop in somebody else's lane, take up a day that they normally do or a time that they normally do. If they do, that's their prerogative, of course, but it's going to be looked at a certain way, and that's just facts. But people have asked how I have so much product, how I get so much product. Well, number one, when we refied the house, when I first got into sports cards, I was in a weird spot. And, man, I probably spent like 30 grand on cards. So, I was buying everything for a long time. I was popping in everybody's auctions. I was supporting everybody. I remember, there was a running joke that if Gunz was in an auction, you weren't going to win anything, because I tried to win every single auction for the first hour. Because that would stop other people from bidding, because they would have to look at a card and go, well, I'm going to have to pay shipping on top of this card because it's my first purchase. So I would pop in and I would just bogart the whole auction. I would win everything that I could. So I always had a lot of cards that way. I was popped in a lot of breaks, man. Breaks are a real good way to get some nice cards. Because if you guys don't know what breaks are, most people do, but if you don't know what breaks are, if the sport is broke down in like 32 teams or whatever, you pay for one team. Say, I'm a Raider fan, so I would always get the Raiders. So any card that was opened up in that box, quarter case, half case, or case, I got all those. I got every Raider that came out. I paid a certain dollar amount for the team, and then every card that came out was mine in that break. Another thing I do, man, is I got a lot of I got a lot of higher end cards. And sometimes in my auctions, like people can afford to to spend the money on those higher end cards, but a lot of people don't want to. They want to pop into an auction, chill out, have some fun. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll trade a bigger card, say on Twitter or with one of my hobby friends or something. I'll trade or sell a bigger card, and then I'll buy a collection. Or I'll trade the bigger card for a lot of smaller cards. And that makes it a lot funner to be able to throw, $1 to $5 to $10 to $20 cards out in an auction. Another way I get cards, man, I'm always on eBay. I'm always searching for a deal on eBay, trying to snipe. That's when you put in a bid at the last second. Another good way is, man, you can find misspelled names on people. If it's somebody's name that's, pretty frequently misspelled or would make sense to you, that you could misspell it, type it in that way and search. Something else I do is I try to develop relationships with sellers on eBay, like a lot of people say there was a card that was $100 and it said, or best offer. Instead of just sending an offer of 67, well, number one, don't lowball them down to 30 right from the jump. Because when somebody sees that, they just decline it, whatever, But instead of hitting them at 60 or 70 or $75, hit them at that price and leave them a message. Develop lines of communication with people. That's something that I do. I've made a lot of friends on eBay. Sometimes people will hit me up when they put new cards in their store. They'll be like, hey, Jimmy, man, just heads up, just loaded a bunch of stuff. And I'll be like, cool, let me check it out. Sometimes they'll be like, in the DM, they'll be like, hey, I got these cards. And I'll be like, okay, we'll post a lot with those cards. Make the buy it now price $300, and then I'll send you whatever the agreed upon price is. Don't buy outside of eBay. You're protected buying in eBay, and you don't want to lose your account by doing some faulty, fraudulent shit. That goes against eBay's terms of services or whatever. Another thing I do is sometimes I'll see somebody selling a bunch of cards and I'll hit them up and I'll be like, hey, I would like to make a big bulk purchase. I see you have a bunch of cards, they're listed at say $20 a piece or whatever. And you got like 100 of them there. If I made you an offer in between, 10 and $12 a card, but I made you an offer on all 100, would you accept all of it? Sometimes people are like, nah, but sometimes people are like, you know what? That's a nice payday. Yeah, let's do that. So that's a way that I get cards. Man, I'm always, I'm not on no Instagram, not on Facebook, none of that shit. But I'm always on Twitter and I'm always looking when somebody posts a card for sale or whatever, I'll buy the card. I'll be like, type in take, I'm getting that card, and then I'll DM them and I'll be like, hey man, do you have any other cards that you could sell me to make it like a package deal? I really don't like paying shipping on just one card. So I always try to work in a couple more cards instead of just paying shipping on the one. That's kind of, it's what I do in my auctions too. Sometimes people be like, hey, I'll go ahead and pay for the card and the shipping. Will you hold it for a week or 2 weeks? That way I can add a couple cards to it because I don't want to pay shipping on 1 or 3 or 4 cards. And be like, yeah, for sure. People work together. It is my point. And man, it could be there could be a good harmony in this as long as people aren't greedy, you know what I mean? Don't have hate in their fucking blood. Not mad at the next person for winning. Sometimes I'll sell a card and keep some meat on the bone for the next guy. And a lot of times I'll buy a card that way. Someone will keep some meat on the bone for me. Let's see, I just bought a card from my buddy Cueto. A lot from him last night. He put a lot up. It wasn't getting traction for whatever reason. He dropped the price. I was like, hey, I'll take that. And, he sent me a DM and he was like, man, when baseball starts, that card's going to get you a 20 drink for sure. And I was like, well, if it's not a PC card, that's always the hope. If you guys don't know 20 drink in my auctions, if I put a card up and it sells for $20 or if the lot sells for $20, I take a shot. It's good fun. I don't know. Man, just wanted to make a video real quick, man, talk about, a good way that you guys can get car. And another one is auctions. There's some great auctions out there on YouTube. You got Deafness 45 does auctions all the time. Saturday, you got my gun show. RSR is Mondays now. If he doesn't go live, sometimes I'll go live. Monday used to be my old time slot. This Sunday, Mike Baseball Collector and my guy Lou are going to be doing a little auction thing together. That's going to be fun, man. Don't miss that. Man, I wish people worked. I wish people worked together a little bit more, man, because if you got a group of people that are all hanging out and working together, man, it could be a real good thing. But when everybody everybody try to compete with everybody, man, and that doesn't make no fucking sense. Like, what are you worried about? Being overshadowed by somebody, or you know what I mean? Where's your confidence? Like, have some confidence in yourself. Have some confidence in what you do. I don't know, man. It was something weird that I saw on Twitter, man. Insane, fucking insane. Like, this is some of the most hating shit I've ever seen, man. But there's somebody who, they want to be a breaker or something, and they'll always put a tweet out all the time, and they'll be like, this product's coming out. I put in for 50 cases. Hopefully I get one. Price is $2.50 a box, by the way. And it's like, okay, number one, you're not getting 50 because you're not that dude. You know what I mean? You haven't built yourself up to do that like some of these other companies have. Like Buck City Breaks, I know for a fact when they started out, they bought as much of everything that they could. They completely racked up all their credit cards, didn't know if it was going to work, totally mortgaged and bet on their own future, and it worked. They put all that on the line, and it worked out. You know what I mean? So here's what I know too, is that when somebody makes a tweet or something like that, it's pure hater, because what you're doing is you're saying, hey, this is what it costs. What you guys don't know, this is what it costs. I put in for this. Hopefully I get it, knowing you're not going to fucking get it. And what that does is that makes everybody else think that every breaker is getting it at that price. Well, that's not the case. Like, Buck City Breaks might put in for the same box you speak of, or the same case you speak of, and they might get one or two, because their allocations aren't as big as the next guy. And then they got to turn around and they got to buy from Blowout at the price everybody else does. So by you even putting that information out there, you just put a bad light on everybody. I don't understand why people want to hate on people. It's gross. It's fucking weird. It's gross. If somebody wants to build their brand, instead of trying to throw your friends under the bus, why don't you get your name out there? Why don't you do the right things to get yourself out there? If you're in this hobby and you're making money multiple ways, when somebody puts a rack together, how about instead of you coming in and doing the bare minimum that somebody who makes no money off this hobby does, why don't you step it up a notch? That's a good way to get your name and your brand out there. There's plenty of people, man, who are doing good things that you could pop in and be a part of, instead of... Look, man, if somebody wants to have some longevity in this hobby, wants to have a good name, man, don't be slimy. Be solid. Do the right things. Care. Go out on a limb sometimes. And number one, don't count the next man's pockets. That is a recipe for disaster 11 times out of 10. I promise you, because it's going to develop a darkness inside of you that's going to make you do the snakiest, most hater shit. And here's what I know. A lot of people can fake. A lot of people can fake who they are or what they are. And a lot of people have seen people's fake. You'll watch old videos and people will talk a certain way. And then all of a sudden their lingo will change. How they talk changes. Things they say changes. Like you could spot a fake from a mile away, and you can spot a real one from a mile away as well. And man, how I'm cleaning up my hobby, man, is I don't converse with snakes. I ain't Eve. You know what I mean? I don't talk to slitherers. I want no part of that shit. I keep my grass cut. Because here's what people don't understand too. If you're running around speaking behind people's backs, man, these people that you're speaking about your friends behind their backs, at a certain point, they're going to lose respect for you because they're going to see how fake you are to that person, how you're talking about them behind their back. Then they're not going to have any respect for you. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to start saying little things in front of these people, and these people are going to reach out to that person and let them know every time. Be solid in the community, okay? Be who you are and stand on that shit. And, man, try to help other people out. I guess this was kind of a rant / information type video. Take it as you will. If the shoe fits, get it in 3 pairs, one of them in glitter. You know what I mean? Rest of you, take care. Do well, man, do positive things for people, be a light in people's life, and never let someone put your flame out. Gunz out. Like,